Do you guys use dating apps like swiping apps? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
on dating apps, what percentage of men do you swipe right on when you're on the dating app?
Mm-hmm. Like 2%.
2%. Nicole?
It used to be really like low, and then probably I'd say out of every like 10 men, maybe I'd swipe on like 1 to 2.
Okay. Shania?
I'd say like 5%.
Amber? Oh, you don't do dating apps. You do guys that approach you, right? Okay. So that's really low, right? Like, that's my point is that, and those are just the guys that are on dating apps that are actually making an effort to download and, you know, like make contact and put themselves out there. The vast majority of guys are mostly invisible to you ladies. So, right. Like you don't even see them because they don't meet your qualifications. What would you say to those guys? What advice do you have for them? That are the 90% that don't get your attention. Like, what advice would you give?
I think, are we talking about on like dating sites, like swiping?
No, just in general, because I think men in general want to be in a relationship with a woman or a woman. Sorry. I mean, that's why we're here. We're not here to build skyscrapers and roads and computers and do podcasts and stuff. Like we're here to connect with the opposite sex and generally speaking, have children, form a family, sort of thing. So I think that's what guys are mostly looking for, and they're making the effort by going on dating apps. So what would you say to the guys that are mostly invisible to you, that are like the 95% that you don't swipe right on, that don't even get the opportunity to talk to you?
So the swipe ratios for men and women on dating apps, just to clarify, are about the same at this point in 2023. So it's the rate at which the number of people per 100 that are swiped by men and women now, at least, is roughly the same. Because I've done a lot of research in this.
Where did you get that data from?
The internet. Everything on the internet's true, Rich. Just Google it, okay?
I find that extremely.
But anyway,
no.
Yeah.
No. The fact of the matter is, no. Let's deal with this. I actually have a friend that works at a high level on a swiping app site. Okay. So I have a lot more intimate knowledge beyond just what they publish to the public. I also have insider details on the meetings that they have and the topics that they discuss. But the vast majority of men never get a match on a dating app, right? They get really frustrated with it. It doesn't allow any sort of connection. They have a very, very difficult time. And most women on dating apps are fighting for the top probably 15 to 20% of men, probably 10%. They're fighting for matches
10 or
with
5,
those guys.
maybe.
Yeah, it's very, very low, right? So, if you're only swiping right on those guys that you like the good-looking guys, which are based generally on the first photograph, you generally don't swipe right on their bio or any of those other things. It's like, what does the first photograph look like? Quick swipe, good, right? Most guys will swipe right on a whole bunch of stuff and they'll never get matches. So the amount of swiping that happens is probably pretty similar, but the amount of matches that men experience is very, very low. It's right in the basement. It's not even close to women. Like there's guys that have done these tests. Yeah, it's like,
it's a swamp. It's a swamp for women and a desert for men. That's the thing.
Yeah. So to that point, like a very average looking woman, like a 4 or 5, can get hundreds of matches within days. Whereas like an 8, that's a guy, will struggle to get like 25 matches.
Right. Because men will sleep with women they see as 4s and 5s. So they swipe a lot. So maybe that's a problem with the men discerning their matching.
Do you not like men?
I love men. You know, I love men. I do.
Because there's a lot of pointing and sputtering when, whatever. Well, men need to do this better.
Do you want me to sputter about women too? I can sputter about women too.
We can go there too, but I just want to try to understand why you want men to do all of these things to meet certain standards, for you. Because whenever we have these conversations, men need to do this or they need to be better at that sort of thing. So I'm just curious about your experience with men in the past. Do you not like them or?
I love men. Okay. And if you want to ask me questions about women, and our responsibilities, I'm happy to do that too.
I would love you to chime in with the other gals or
I'm not a misogynist, Rich.
Okay.
I'm not a misogynist.
Misandrist is actually the
misandrist. Is that what it is? Misandrist, no.
Misogynist is apparently when men don't like women. Misandrist is when women don't like men.
I'm not
I think
any
this
of
is kind of
them.
the point. I think this is the kind of the point that we're driving at, though. It's what would you say to those 95th percentile men or the people that are not getting attention from women because what you're seeing and being pushed in the mainstream is anything but a push for positive masculinity. It's you need to shrink so women can become more. You need to, place women on the pedestal. They need to be making more money than you. They need to be more educated than you. You need to sit down and be quiet. Straight white men, you've had your time. It's time for you to sit down and be quiet. And anytime I ask a woman what she's looking for in a man, it's never a guy that just sits in the corner and allows me to do whatever I want and agrees with everything I say and never challenges me on anything. So I think what we're doing is having a really important conversation around what's actually being pushed in the mainstream and everywhere you look, where it's, it's never been a less positive thing to be a man in today's society. And I think that's what's contributing to a lot of these guys that are failing to meet expectations of women. And so a lot of these guys, and this isn't complaining, this is just kind of the way I see it. A lot of guys out there just can't catch a break. A lot of guys are being raised by single mothers, or they're being raised in households with plugged in blue-pilled fathers, and they're growing up and everything they see on TV and reading the news is about how they're a villain just by nature of being born. And then they're listening to advice on how to get women, and it's basically be a worse version of a woman and you'll get women, and that's clearly not happening. So I think the question is, what do you say to these men? When we actually ask women on panels like this, what's the advice? What do you want to see from these men? Or what are the things that you're seeing men do that are turning you off and keeping them invisible? And what do you have as far as advice goes for those guys that are trying to break into that, 20 percentile?
Believe it or not, like I actually think that men and women are better together than they are apart, right? Like a woman can be a good complement to a man's life, and the same thing, the other way around. So I'm trying to get some clarity from the gals on the panel that, as your experience as women using dating apps and dealing with men, because you're all single right now, what advice would you have for these guys?
I feel like they should be honest with the female and be themselves instead of trying too hard. Because I have encountered guys that they.
She just froze up.
We lost her.
Okay. I don't know if she's going to come back. Oh, no, you froze up, Jessica. So back up like 5 seconds and say that again. You were talking about honesty.
Yeah, honesty. I said that a guy should be themselves and not like.
Just be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a second.
I don't think that's enough, to be completely honest.
You don't think that's enough, Amber? So what else would you tell them to do?
Honestly, I think it's important to, be yourself, great, whatever, but what do you have to provide? Not just for yourself, but for others. And I'm not just talking about for a woman. Like, what do you have to provide to society? Are you willing to help? Are you willing to help anyone in general? Because any guy that I've ever really dated, he has been really big in helping a society, helping nonprofits, very big in providing for not just me, but older women, single women, helping. I just think it's important to be a man that wants to provide for other people and stand up for your community, show yourself, just be a fucking man. Like, you know what a man is. I know what a man is. I don't think I got to describe it. We all know what a man is.
Okay. So you want a guy to provide and to, they tell men and women different things, right? They tell men do what's right, and they tell women do what's right for you, girl. But you're also the kind of gal that's like, well, I make my own money, so I don't need a man, right? Like I want to make sure that I'm not financially reliant on a man. But you're also saying in the next breath that you want a guy to provide. So I'm a little confused with that.
I mean, I'll be honest, the men I usually attract are men that want to provide. I don't really have to ask for anything. I don't ask for anything.
But so like your OnlyFans is a backup then, right? It's just in case he's not there or he's not able to provide or he doesn't provide for you.
I mean, that's my main thing now. But if I'm with someone and I love them, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say so, but in general, I take care of myself. I do what I have to for the time being. I mean, if I'm with someone, if he wants to be with me and he wants to provide for me, he knows where I'm coming from. He knows what I do for a living. He knows that I do have a degree. I'm not stupid. I'm an honor roll student. You can look up my full name, and I'm a merit scholar. So I'm not dumb, but it's hard because some men just automatically assume people in my realm don't know anything, but in reality, it's not true. And I do attract very high profile men. So
okay, I'll come back to that in a second. Shania, what's your advice to men?
I think Jessica's on the right track about the honesty. However, I feel like they need to be honest with themselves. So step back and say, okay, the dating apps aren't working, but I do want a woman. So what else can I do? Should I start going to bars? Should I start approaching them in person, show off confidence? Should I maybe take a year off for yourself or, So I think you were definitely on the right track, and just, it's time to be like, okay, this isn't working, now what?
Okay. Nicole?
If we're speaking specifically about dating apps, I would say, well, I don't want to plug what I do here, but I do.
Just in general.
In general. Okay. I would say for the dating app, I think that actually men don't present themselves as well as they could on dating apps. And I think that if they understood how to present themselves better online, they would get more swipes. Because what my experience is that there is a gap between generally when I see a guy's profile online and meet him in person, and I'm generally pleased when I meet him in person, and I feel like, oh, your profile didn't reflect that, and it could use improvement, and I think that would help. And I have specifics on like what they could do, but I'll leave it at that for general.
What are some examples of some of the specifics? It sounds like you do this.
So I do. So some of the things would be, and again, before Rick tells me I'm just harping on men, I have things for women's profiles too. But since you're asking me about men, I would say, first of all, like be in the best like shape that you can be in, like be in good health, like having a healthy body. Keep up with your grooming. Like if you're gonna have a beard, trim it, groom it, go to the gym, go for a run, do these things to, just be your best self externally. When it comes to your photos, get your photos taken, get good photos. They should be updated. They should be nice quality, not blurry. Pay attention to what you're wearing, like present yourself well. And in your prompts, don't be generic, like really think about them and be thoughtful. There's just a lot of things that you can do, but the photos are like usually the hot mess, and men are not making themselves look as attractive or desirable as they are in real life, in my opinion. So they should focus on that.
So based on what the gals have said, and I think, Nicole, you've probably given the best advice to men that I've heard from the bunch, and I'll explain why in a second, but it's still shit. And I'll tell you why.
Rich, real quick, I want to point out what Shania said was, in a roundabout way, basically saying become red pill. It's look around and figure out what you're doing. Is it working? And then go looking for answers. Yeah. And then that's when guys find us.
But like,
and then after Nicole's they find you, they find the real way.
Yeah, sure.
Which is the true masculinity. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get to all those details, but to Nicole's point, she's disqualified men because they've had debt. Right. And she's telling, guys that are struggling with dating apps, just have good photographs. And having good photographs is definitely going to get you more matches because you have to get your foot in the door. You have to get their attention somehow. I also heard just be yourself. I heard, a few other, pieces and points of advice, which are pretty typical that women generally give guys. And, the reason why I asked you ladies these points is because men really, really struggle with dating. Right. And they don't know what, to Amber's point over here, she's talking about two guys that she really likes that she's dating that she thinks are top shelf men, but Tristan Tate DMs her overnight. She's going to be on a plane to Romania right away. And these guys will be ghosted. Right. So it's like, when we have conversations with guys, when Moff and I talk, it's around the topic of developing yourself into the best man that you can possibly be. The reason why a large, competent man that is built like a fighter with lots of money, has good style, is able to get Amber to drop the two guys that she's dating right now to go with him is because of all of those things. Yeah. So it goes beyond just having a good photograph. It goes well beyond just be yourself. Just be yourself is usually like the advice that moms give their sons, is just be yourself and the right girl will come along, sort of thing. And that it's shit, because that's what a lot of guys will do now. They'll just be like, well, myself is working, you know, a $30,000 a year job, coming home, smashing a frozen pizza in the oven, and getting stoned and playing video games for 17 hours, and you know, watching stream or Twitch or Fortnite or something, right? Like that's a lot of guys' angle for just being themselves today, and that's not enough. It's never enough, right? Like you guys have already shown us that it's not enough, because you've disqualified men for quite a few reasons that don't meet minimum standards. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.